Welcome to the Air Force Gradcast. I'm Vince Greco, parent of a 2017 grad.
And I'm Navira Walkowitz, class of 99, proud mom to cadets in the class of 27 and 28.
That's awesome. In this edition of Gradcast, the new visitor center is open. We have a newly minted class of second lieutenants, and the class of 2030 is just days away from showing up here at USAFA. And you will not want to miss the June edition of Checkpoints magazine.
So much to cover today, Vince.
Let's get into it.
Let's jump right in.
All right. Talking about the Hosmer Visitor Center, named in honor of Lieutenant General retired Bradley Hosmer, class of 59, and his wife Zita, it's officially open. The Hosmer family and the project contributors, Jerry Bruni, class of 70, and his wife Pam, they took a private tour early on May 15th, but now it's open to everybody. And Navir, I've got to tell you, it's spectacular.
It is spectacular. I've had a chance to walk through it. And even though our chapel currently is still in the box, we do have in the visitor center an opportunity to see some of that stained glass.
Well, the whole 47-month journey, and again, I go over this with you all the time.
Yes.
You did it. But for those of us who didn't, it's kind of the tip of the iceberg. It gives us a general idea of what every cadet's going to go through for 47 months.
Yes. I mean, just being right there at the North Gate, being able to go to this iconic, a new place to go that's iconic, and then walk over to Hotel Polaris. Like, it's just incredible there at the North Gate. So,
Yep.
And it's open to the public 9 to 5, and it's free of charge.
Love it.
Yes.
We also need to talk about First Departure.
Oh, let's talk about that. So, First Departure is our way, with the association and foundation being the leaders of that, to bring our firsties together before they could put on those second lieutenant bars and go off into the world and lead in our Air and Space Force. So we're actually going to talk about that more with Chris Bennett in our upcoming spotlight, but it's a wonderful opportunity for us to put together organizations that will help our lieutenants at their bases, whether it's, should I buy a house? Should I rent? What does that look like? And then we even had a panel this year of graduates from the classes of 24 and 25. So that was pretty cool.
And I love that. This is the first Departure that I attended, but having that panel up on the stage and allowing our soon-to-be or now second lieutenants to ask these questions, I thought that was very valuable. And we had that panel coming as far away from London.
Yes. It was a wonderful panel, and it brought different perspectives of those who were in grad school or in pilot training. And so it really did allow, I think, our second lieutenants to ask some great questions.
And speaking of that, our class graduated May 28th.
Yes, it was. Well, it was a little bit chilly this year, but we didn't have snow.
No snow. And unlike last year, at least the Thunderbirds were able to do their pass for the hat toss.
Absolutely. I mean, I was there, and it was one of those that just that sound and that, I don't know how to even explain it. You could feel the vibrations of the Thunderbirds just overhead. It was incredible.
Well, for our pilots that are listening, and I need some help with this, so you can email me at vince.greco@usafa.org. The day before, in our new building, Wecker Hall, there was practice, and I have never heard this before. It was a shrieking, whistling sound that came before the roar of the engines over the top of this building. I want to know, what is that? What is causing that? So vince.greco@usafa.org.
I wonder if it was close. We'll see. What did you hear back from everybody?
Well, the second lieutenants are on their 60 days.
That's right.
They're out. They're enjoying life. But guess what? The next class, they'll be here on June 24th.
Just before, we let one go and we bring a new one in. So really excited to welcome them in. And speaking of June, how about our checkpoints? It's coming out really soon to your mailboxes if you don't have it already. But this particular edition really highlights some of the stories and graduates of graduate station at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and really some of the work of Air Force Southern Command. We also learned about work being done near the Boneyard. Are you familiar with the Boneyard?
Yes, I am. Down in Arizona.
Yes. Amazing. So there's so much to check out on that checkpoints. But before you even open it, as you know, we're celebrating our 250th anniversary of our country. And the cover of Checkpoints, my goodness, it's spectacular.
I love it. And I'm not afraid to give a shout out to Melissa Campbell.
Yes.
She's on our staff. Her talents are off the charts.
That is actually, you hit it on the mark. And so everyone, we can't wait to hear what you think when you see it. And of course, you can email me at navir.walkowitz@usafa.org. Although my name is harder to spell, Vince. You're more likely to get an email.
And it's only one C. It's not 2 C's in Greco. Well, we've had graduations. We have Appointee and Family Welcome Day coming up.
That's right.
It's kind of the season for change of commands
That is.
as well.
Yes.
And here at the Academy, our new Commandant, Colonel Brandon Tellez, class of 01, has officially taken command, and he's being nominated to receive his first star, which will make him a Brigadier General.
Yes. And also on our Academy, the prep school commander, previously led by Colonel Mark Landis, class of 01, did have a change of command to Colonel Andrew Clemens in class of 02. So it's nice to continue to see Air Force Academy grads at the helm.
Absolutely. And the 306th on June 3rd at Davis Airfield, where Colonel Nancy E. Taylor relinquished command to Colonel Paul J. Bremen.
Yes, it's just, as you said, changes of command are part of our, it's just how we continue to grow and lead. As you know, there are so many more we could mention, as probably across the globe, other changes of command, but we really wanted to highlight those here so prominently at our Air Force Academy.
And I want you to check out Zoomy News, because in Zoomy News, there are 14 other colonels who are being promoted. So check out Zoomy News for that list.
It's an incredible list. And as a 99er, it gives me great joy to see several of my classmates on it as well. I also did want to highlight Colonel Amy Glisson. She's class of 01. She was the former 10th Air Base Wing Commander here at USAFA, and she's getting her star. So it's a wonderful list for our USAFA graduates.
Yeah, it really is. And it's so exciting to see so many of them getting that promotion.
Absolutely. Well, as we continue to champion our graduates, our Association of Graduates Board wants to make sure that we are listening to what's happening out there from the graduate community. They have their next board meeting is July 24th. It's actually the same weekend when we have March back and our Distinguished Graduate Award dinner. So there's a lot of things happening. There will be information for registration soon, but you can go to usafa.org and go click on our board of directors page to find past, minutes from our last session. And also as the registration becomes available for those to watch this virtually, it will be theirs too.
And always check your inbox, your email inbox. Earlier or last month, I received that email from Kathy Allman, president of the AOG, letting us know that those minutes are available. So that is a nice service that we're providing as well.
Absolutely. And if you're not getting those emails and you are a member, there's a good chance we need to just help you with your communication settings. You can message us via email at customer service at usafa.org.
Yeah, not vince.greco@usafa.org.
He won't help you with that one.
Well, what do you say we move into events? Because there are plenty of those in the month of June.
Yes. Well, earlier this month, we had the class of 1963 and the class of 1973 have their class reunions. And so anytime that our classes can get together and really just, spend time reminiscing, visiting what really galvanized them, I think is a wonderful thing.
Well, if you're in town or you want to make a special trip into town on June 20th, the Professional Bull Riders Association and Falcon Stadium, in conjunction with Freedom 250, that is Tim McGraw's group, they will be here for bull riding and some country music by Tim McGraw.
There's a lot of things happening at Falcon Stadium. Of course, football, we saw the new schedule that's been released. But later this fall, we also see Bruno Mars. So it's neat to see, I think, how the public and a lot of other opportunities are taking place right on our Air Force Academy.
I agree. And I'm interested to see, I've been to concerts before at Falcon Stadium, but not with the new setup, not with the new Legacy Center.
Right.
So I want to see how that shapes up. I think it'll provide better seating and closer opportunities to see these superstars.
I know. I'm excited. At least come September, I'll be there for Bruno Mars.
There you go. And then we already talked a little bit, but on June 23rd, Appointee and Family Welcome Day, this Wecker Hall, Doolittle Hall campus will be flooded with the class of 2030.
Yes. I mean, you're not kidding. When you have 1,000 new, appointees coming in and their family members, we see between 3,000 and 4,000 really just kind of walking this campus. And what a wonderful way to bring this new family into the Long Blue Line family with us.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
And then another nice event on June 25th that you're a big part of.
Our NextGen Presents webinar series that we have every month. The June series is Careers in Finance, and this particular focuses on investment banking, private equity, and corporate development. It's hosted by David Harris, class of 17, one of our NextGen Advisory Council members. It's just a really great way that we continue to offer information to our graduate community in ways that are meaningful to them.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And finally, let's not forget happy 250th birthday,
yes, America, you look so good.
Yes, you do. And I'm sure the Academy is going to have a lot of things going on. So make sure to look for announcements from USAFA about celebratory events that are going to happen here on base.
Yes, and of course, we want to know what's happening in your areas too. You can always send those in to us at gradcast@usafa.org, and we might be able to feature you or share those as well in Zoom meetings, etc.
I love it.
Yes.
All right.
And now we'd like to introduce a new Gradcast feature highlighting the work of our NextGen Advisory Council. And with me today is Christian Evans, class of 2008, the South Geographic Leader for Olson. Welcome.
Great to be here. As always, good to see you, Navir.
Always glad to see you. And as we talk about the NextGen Advisory Council, I think it's worthwhile for our community to know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so Christian Evans, I'm a 2008 grad. I lead the Southern Geography for Olson. We are an engineering and design firm. I lead Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And in that, we've got 6 offices and about 450 people. So, yeah, that's my day job.
Well, and we know you're busy because not only that, you're also one of our board of directors for the Association of Graduates Board. So you're highly, really tuned in to our Air Force Academy and our graduate community. And now we have this NextGen Advisory Council. Let's talk about that. How did it come to be?
Absolutely. You mentioned that I am on the Association of Graduates Board. And when given the opportunity to join the board, my first thought was, what impact can I make in this new role, and what are the needs of the grads? I had been out of the Air Force for some time now and kind of got to see a number of different things. One is kind of how our sister service academies organize themselves, and it's a lot of multi-generational interaction, networking, helping people with career transitions, professional development, all those things. And then also just talking to my friends and classmates and people that I've been able to mentor on what are some things they would like to see from our graduate community, or what services or what value could be added. And so as I was coming onto the board, it was actually a goal. Like, if I'm going to join the board, we need to establish some type of group that acknowledges we have a need to engage younger generation of grads and meet them where they're at and really add value on what's important in their life right now. And so the genesis of it was just kind of having that idea, once again, being out in the civilian world and being a part of a number of industry organizations and seeing how they've got like young professional groups. Right. I was a member of the Urban Land Institute, and we had a NextGen group, which represents the next generation of leadership in the real estate community. And so kind of took a lot of those nuggets and got with some of my other ALG board members, so Nathan Dowell and Jen Walters, and we had just gotten some of the feedback from the survey.
That's right,
I think
the survey
this
of
was
22.
22.
Yes.
And we saw that there was the data gave us some really good points of, okay, what does a next gen community or young professional community represent? Well, young professional probably doesn't make sense for 40 and 50-year-old grads, right? But in the scheme of the Air Force Academy graduate population, if you did graduate in the 90s, you're young, because our founding class is still with us in a lot of ways. And so, we saw in the data that there was a lack and a drop-off in engagement past 1995 that was pretty dramatic. And so we kind of galvanized around the idea of 1995 and after would be the years that we bring graduates together in this council or group or working, whatever the name is inconsequential. The goal is to create, whether it's services, whether it's events, whether it's, anything that can add value, like I said before, to that generation of graduates. And how can we get them to kind of reinvest into their academy as well as into their relationship with the academy? So whether it's in your local community or getting back home to USAFA, we thought there's just a need to, and then there's also a need for real help with that career transition when you're coming from active duty to civilian service, or for that active duty graduate that is at the precipice of, hey, I really want to promote and I want to reach higher rank and I want to grow in my active duty career. Well, what conversations are we facilitating as a graduate association to help you to be able to accomplish those goals?
Yes.
How much is the Long Blue Line actually showing up for you in those career advancements, transitions, and all those things? So that's really the genesis. We use that data to kind of come to the AOG board and show there is a need to reimagine what we're doing to engage this community of grads. And it can't be we can't continue to just send emails asking for donations and those things. We have to start doing things that give them that feeling of the AOG, the foundation, the organization, the institution of the Air Force Academy, beyond graduation has added value to my life. And ideally, they will then see the value of adding back into the association and foundation.
Right. Well, that's incredible because you had great foresight in thinking about it in those terms, because when you and the committee formed, I remember it wasn't just members from the AOG board, but then you also leaned over across fence to the foundation board and you had a great conversation. And what's so unique about the NextGen Advisory Council is that now, I guess you stood up in 2025, and now you have 23 members from 2019 back to 1997 that really represent, you're not actually governed by the AOG or the foundation. You have actually no fiduciary responsibility other than to be a council of almost like ambassadors to serve the community and to help advise both boards with some of the concerns and needs of this community. So since that time, you've stood up. Let's talk about, you saw that need early in your board days. You galvanized this community. You stood up a council in the, summer of 2025. And so now we're about 6 months, a little bit more than that into this. What has the NextGen Advisory Council been doing?
Well, first, I just want to thank Navir and the AOG and Foundation team for the support in getting to where we're at today, because it's been a heavy lift. And for all of us that have joined the NextGen Advisory Council, you all make, that duty so much easier just because you're able to do so many things that help to kind of keep advancing the ball down the field.
Thank you.
I'll say, I didn't know what to expect. We kind of had maybe a little random call to action to the grads when we asked, hey, if anybody would like to volunteer to be on this NextGen Advisory Council. Right. This is what we're doing. But it turns out there were a number of grads that were interested
yes, there were.
In having their voice heard or sharing some good ideas on what we can do to kind of bring that value to kind of help in all of those things that we kind of talked about before.
And be part of that.
And be part of it.
Right.
And I was just blown away by the cross-section of grads that we ended up with. It's such an impressive group. They're all leaders in their own right, whether they're still active duty or civilians now. A number of them are corporate executives. A number of them are entrepreneurs that are CEOs. A number of them are investors, whether it's in real estate, private equity, venture capital, and kind of everything else in between. We've got some pilots. We've got, so it's truly a great cross-section of our graduate community. And it brings kind of these diverse sets of experiences, kind of stages in life.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And also just institutional knowledge, whether it's, in a certain career vertical or simple things like, being a good mentor to a younger grad. We've got a great group. And, the last 6 months, we've really been working on building the foundation for what NextGen is going to be, and what are those things that we're doing to bring, all the resources to bear that we have at the association and foundation, as well as within ourselves, within our graduate community. We are all resources. We are all able to make and provide impact to our fellow grads. And so we've built a foundation that's centered around, kind of on the first this first iteration engagement and information, right? So we've had a number of events throughout the country this year that, once again, thanks to Navir, we've been able to have some really good just interactions with grads. We've been very smart to go where the grads are. So we will piggyback off of an Air Force conference, or we will piggyback off of the SAC career fairs, and really just also in the towns where we've got a critical mass of grads.
That's right.
And a lot of the grads are stepping up and footing the bill, so to speak, in their hometowns. So it's been great to see that. I think we have had some really great turnout at those events.
We have, yes.
And then we've also set up some ongoing panels, and we've had, I think, 4 now.
Yes.
Just covering an array of industries, both pertinent to active duty and civilian grads that I believe will continue to matriculate. But I think the information that has been given and the panels that we've had have just been very powerful. And once again, we've seen attendance tick up. We've seen some really good feedback from those. And I truly appreciate all the folks that did raise their hand to join the NextGen Advisory Council, because there wasn't a prescriptive, this is what we're going to do now that this is set up. It was, hey, let's get all of us arguably smart people in a room.
Yes.
And let's brainstorm. Let's look at this survey data that we did go out and do a survey of the NextGen community.
Yes.
And let's use our brains collectively to create solutions to where we see the grads want to see things happen.
Right.
And so, yeah, just the NextGen Advisory Council, those individuals hopped in and got to work. I mean, It was like from day one they got to work, and truly we have a foundation and kind of the infrastructure built to really in this next 2 to 3 years continue to grow and advance and give even more services and things for our graduate community to be able to really generate outcomes and see their personal and professional lives grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, while it's early, just as a member of the staff that works in the association foundation, I think we can say that we've seen increases in touch points from the NextGen community, from participants' standpoints of showing up to things that they'd never been involved in before simply because we came to them. Also, we have our most recent graduate survey, just early indications from participation. We saw bump ups from the 2010s forward, and this was already unheard of in a space where survey taking is already challenging, right? And participation. So you should feel really great in the fact that you are putting, I think, forth information and things that are solutions and desired by this community.
Yeah, I think one other positive bit of feedback is we just had one day one USAFA, and we saw an uptick in participation in that NextGen community, which if you understand the generational nature of giving in our for both association and foundation, our graduate community, it scales almost scarily to our legacy classes.
Right.
And, without the participation of us NextGen grads, who's going to give if not so it's, so I think that's just another great point of like, we are, I think, having some wins, for lack of a better term, of we can see in short order how when you do make that effort to meet them where they are, to have that value and to get engaged, and it's not just asking for money.
Right.
They are compelled to then give back and be a part of the conversation. So just another nugget on how NextGen has definitely, I think, been a positive for our graduate community and the association and foundation.
Well, Christian, the best way that our graduates can tap into everything that's happening in NextGen is to go to our website, usafa.org/NextGen. And on that page, they can see everyone on the council. We have all of your photos and your biographies, as well as our recaps, the actual recordings of every virtual session that you've offered on the different topics that we've talked about. In fact, coming up soon, we're going to have real estate. And then following that, we're going to have careers in finance focused on, like you said, entrepreneurship, some corporate development, private equity, et cetera. So really exciting for our graduate community.
Outstanding.
Well, thank you very much, not only for, leading this, but for really having, I think, taking that initial vision and bringing it to life, because it really is making a difference. So thank you.
Well, I'm honored to be in the position I am to have an impact, and I'm honored to be around grads that care, that stepped up, and that are making the impact on their own. So I'm looking forward to the many years ahead for NextGen. And thank you again, Navir, for all of your efforts in making sure that this group and this effort is successful and sustained. And from what I can see, this will be around for a long time. So thank you.
Well, it was certainly wonderful to visit with Christian Evans, as always. We're going to head next to our chapter check-in with Chris Bennett. He's our interim EVP for Alumni Relations, and he's going to be visiting with our Granite State Chapter President, Barb Brennan, class of '84, out there in New Hampshire. She's fantastic.
I love Barb.
Yes.
Hello, Gradcast community. Chris Bennett here, Senior Director of Alumni Relations from your Association of Graduates. For today's chapter check-in. With me today is Barb Brennan, USAFA class of 1984. Barb is the president of the Granite State Chapter located in New Hampshire. Barb, it's so great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
You're welcome, Barb. Hey, so I would ask you to briefly share with our graduate community your journey since your graduation from USAFA some number of years ago, and how you found yourself now leading the chapter in New Hampshire.
So, proud grad of class of 1984, received my diploma from Ronald Reagan, which was an incredible honor. I went to pilot training at Laughlin Air Force Base and got my first choice of C-141 to McGuire Air Force Base. I did my entire career actually at McGuire. I flew worldwide, as you know, in a cargo airplane in support of Desert Storm, embassy support, a nuclear airlift. And so I went all the way up to instructor pilot in that category. So it was a pleasure to do that. I got out after the Gulf War, though, in 91. My husband is retired Air Force reserves, and he just actually retired from Delta also within the past year. So we moved up to New Hampshire because he was flying out of Boston at the time. So I kind of broke all ties with the reserves and the airlines, and I wanted to, start my family at that point. But when I went for my 10-year reunion in 94, I found that I really missed Air Force stuff, and I missed I didn't realize, when you first leave there, you're like, yeah, I can't wait to get out, but then, can't wait to get back there. And that's how I am every time I go back to USAFA. I tried to get back in even as an ALO in 94, and they said, oh, you've been out too long. But again, my class kind of went through a lot of, you were either still in or you were out or you were furloughed from the airlines. And I started doing congressional nominations with all the senators and congressmen and women. And I started mentoring the New Hampshire kids. So my first kid that I mentored was in 2013. And I kind of was just doing the females at first. And, so a female would mentor the next female coming in kind of thing. And it was a way to stay connected. And now I kind of connect with every single New Hampshire cadet. I stay in touch. We have a very close parents club here in New Hampshire. So we all stay connected. And at the send-off, they all know me. We have a class link, and they know they could get a hold of me anytime. And I see them when I'm out there. And so I'm always like a familiar face to all of them. So I enjoy doing that, and that's my connection back. That's my way of giving back to USAFA.
Okay, so over that time since 94, maybe you got reblued after your 10-year reunion. Have you been in contact with those cadets that are now lieutenants or officers out there? Have you commissioned any of them? What are your touch
I've been
points?
back to graduation several times, and I've commissioned. In fact, two of our kids were in my hometown, so I've been, help them through, mentoring. Our governor, I mentored. She was senator when I actually met her when she was our attorney general, but now she's our governor. But both her kids, in fact, her son is an appointee for 2030. So I mentored, both her kids along the way. So, so her daughter's going to be a senior next year with the class of 27. So, with a very incredible, bright future ahead. So, yep, I have mentored. I've been out there. I didn't go out this year, but I went out in 25 to not commission, but go to both commissionings and graduation for 2 of my cadets.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your service back to the Long Blue Line and passing on that heritage of mentoring and excellence to those that now get to lead.
Okay.
So share with us briefly how you elevated yourself into being the president of this chapter and getting to lead all your fellow graduates in New Hampshire.
One of the initial starters of our chapter was Craig McPherson. He's class of 73. He has since moved down to North Carolina, but he used to go down to AOG events a lot, and that's how I got pulled into it. And so we still have a few of the original people on, but Craig was initially the president, and he decided to move, and he said, "Barb, you're in charge." So I had no choice.
So you talked earlier about, as an active duty officer, how busy it is. How would you now attract or encourage the younger you who's still active duty to find the time and the margin to plug into a chapter wherever they are across the country?
If there's an active duty base in your state, there should be a chapter. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There should be one. And for grads to just gather, they might not be able to do it on a regular basis, but when they can, so you get that information out, and they do an event when possible. So I think we should be reaching out to every every state where there's an active duty base. And we have not an active duty base. Pease Air Force Base is reserves and guards, so it's hard to get anybody from there and connect with them. We do what we can. We always have our Navy watch party out of Pease, so we try to connect with them at least then. But like when we did the Bentley get together in February, we met some young grads from Hanscom that living there, and incredible young grads that just wanted to hang out and have a good time and meet other people. And that's what you have to do. You just have to I encourage all young grads to stay connected. Not everybody gets to go to a base where there's going to be another one of their classmates. So just to stay connected. And, I feel blessed that I have met the people that I have met in the state of New Hampshire.
So you recently celebrated your Founders Day celebration. I think it was back in mid-April.
Mhm.
So tell us about that event and how you celebrated the birthday of the U.S. Air Force Academy.
Well, this year our focus was 50 years of women. So we were lucky enough to have 2 of the late 80s ladies at our Founders Day dinner. And so what we do in the state of New Hampshire, we focus on the grads, but we also focus on the appointees that are going to be entering the Long Blue Line. And so that has been our focus for most of our Founders Day dinners. So our legacy class is the one that introduces that a next appointee. So the class of 80 is 2030's, legacy class. So we were lucky enough to have, 2 grads be there. And we invited females, and we had 8 of them. So that was the most female grads that we have ever had at a Founders Day dinner. And it was really quite incredible. So, and it was great for the appointees to see that also.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And I look forward to your invite already established and already accepted to attend your Founders Day dinner in 2027. So a final question for you. You talked about celebrating 50 years of women at the U.S. Air Force Academy, and I know you came out here for the celebration that was held in April at the Academy.
Yes.
Tell us some of your thoughts and how that just, again, rekindled the Long Blue Line feeling and sentiment in you.
I have not missed any of my reunions, and I've gone out for chapter events, graduation stuff. So it's not like I haven't been out there, but there were quite a few women. It was their first time back since they graduated for whatever reason they had. But it was interesting to actually, I saw other friends that I had not seen since I was a cadet there. And we all recognized each other for some reason. Like, I remember you. I'm like, yeah, I remember you, through sports or like clubs. There was a lot of clubs and, things like that. So um, it was really moving. Great to see the people. We had like 25 girls from my class there. So that was great. So we had like a little mini reunion. But we focus on getting together once a year anyway. My girls in 84, we find a place and we go, and whoever can meet, we meet. So we don't wait for reunions to get together. So yeah, it was really, really special. And I'm grateful that I was able to attend.
Well, awesome. Well, Barb, I want to again thank you for your leadership of the Granite State chapter and for being just a friend of not just Chris, but the Association of Graduates and all you do to advance the mission of the Long Blue Line. So I've been talking today with Barb Brennan, class of 1984, and again, the president of the Granite State chapter in New Hampshire. Barb, thanks for joining us today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
And you as well, Chris. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And now it's time for the Donor Impact Spotlight. One of the ways graduates continue to shape the Academy long after they leave is through philanthropy. Today, we're taking a look at several projects that are helping preserve Academy heritage, honor those who served, and inspire future generations of cadets. Joining me is Chris Mazurek, the Association and Foundation's Director of Projects and Facilities, who oversees many of these memorials. Chris, thanks for being here today.
Vince, it's a pleasure.
Well, Chris, let's start it this way. When people hear about memorials and heritage projects, they may not immediately connect them to the Academy's mission. Why are these projects, in your opinion, important to graduates and cadets alike?
I think these projects are important because it reminds the graduates, cadets, and even visitors alike of the history of the Air Force and USAFA, and really just to inspire the next generation.
I think you said something interesting there. You talked about cadets and graduates, but I don't think the general population has any idea of the history and some of these memorials that are up here. They're quite spectacular.
They are.
Let's start with the Air Warrior Combat Memorial. This was a Class of 71 reunion gift project honoring Brigadier General Robin Olds. Right next to that Air Warrior Combat Memorial is the HH-3 helicopter display. Tell us a little bit about its significance and what will soon be going on the grounds around that display.
So the HH-3 was used as a rescue helicopter during Vietnam, possibly even the Korean War. So really it's tying the Air Warrior Combat Memorial, General Olds' piece to kind of that rescue operation, because from my understanding and speaking with some of the 83 grads who donated or fundraised for the HH-3, General Olds kind of welcomed the rescue operation community under his leadership during the time of war, whether Vietnam or the Korean War.
Well, the building and putting that back together, the renovation of that HH-3 is quite spectacular. It was actually flown by a 64 grad here named Max James. And I don't have to remind the older graduates, probably in the 70s and the 80s, but a lot of our pilots that came out of here flew the HH-3 because it was a very important piece of Vietnam. One of the things about the HH-3 and the Air Warrior Combat Memorial, I think, too, to give people a perspective of where it's at, it's right next to the B-52. That is as you come in that north gate. Potentially, could more memorials go in that area?
So that was the original plan. I was on a memorials and monuments board, and that was kind of the envision for that area because it's a very large open area behind the Air Warrior Combat Memorial and the HH-3 site. So there's plenty of real estate to add future, memorials and, static displays.
I would say that B-52 is still one of the most photographed memorials or planes that we honor here at the Academy. There are people standing in front of that thing when I come to work and when I leave work every day. Well, let's move on. Now, one thing I find interesting is that multiple classes helped make a lot of these projects possible. What does that kind of cross-generational support say about the Long Blue Line?
To me, I think it just it represents the passion that all the graduates have, and then willingness to give not only to the projects, but to support USAFA.
I couldn't agree with you more. One of the coolest, I think, historical projects that we have worked on in a long time. Don't get me wrong. They're all important and they all have special meaning. But we're talking about the Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. What inspired this project and what will visitors see when it's completed? And I can answer a little bit of that. We're working on a replica P-51 and a T-7. You take it from there.
So this project actually started before I got here, and I think what probably inspired it is Boeing's new trainer, the T-7 Red Hawk. So it's got the red tail painted to pay tribute to the Tuskegee Airmen because, as a lot of people know, the P-51, which was the iconic fighter plane that they flew, had a red tail. That was the way that they distinguished themselves. So I think that kind of inspired the project. What you'll see there once it's done, again, we'll have the P-51, the T-7, the double V, which I actually didn't know what that stood for, so I actually had to do some research. So the double V stood for victory, not only in Europe against the Axis powers and fascism, but also victory here home against segregation, inequality, and white supremacy in the U.S.
It's a cool project.
It is. And then along underneath the double V's, there'll be, different stories, key pieces of the Tuskegee history, to kind of educate those that come and visit the site.
Now, this is going up right next to the Davis Airfield, I believe.
Yeah, right. Pretty much directly behind the airfield sign.
So I know the timeline's always shifting, but we hope to have the planes late this year with maybe a dedication sometime in 2027.
That's the plan.
Awesome. All right here in our own backyard, outside of Wecker Hall and Doodle Hall, the class of 76 is creating something especially ambitious with the Spirit of 76 Echelon, marking their 50th reunion here at the Academy. Tell us about that project and the vision behind it.
So that vision actually kind of morphed. Initially, they wanted something that mirrored the Vietnam Memorial Wall, and that now morphed to what is currently being built in our backyard. So depending on how you enter that project, if you come over where the Southeast Memorial Pavilion is at, you'll see what they call the kiosk. It's a futuresque spaceship to kind of that future look for the Air Force. You walk through there, you immediately see what we call the 59 prop and wings. So it's going to be 3 B-29 props with a full 180-degree compass because that's what they used for navigational purposes. And then you'll see a pedestal with a C-130 prop on there, and they're in echelon because that's how planes usually are always flying. And then on each pedestal will be the class demographic as far as, number of cadets that graduated, so on and so forth, with the class crest mounted on the C-130 prop.
So, and then the hope from the class of 76 is that some other class in their 50-year union will take that over and just extend it out even further. So that is, it's a special project for the class of 76, but I like the fact that they're honoring all classes that come through here.
And I think one thing that's pretty neat too is inside 2 of the spires will be 2 time capsules.
Oh, wow.
So that way, you've got your legacy class, so 76 has their time capsule, and then 2026 has theirs. So then in 50 years, it's 2026 opens up 76. And so it's just, moving forward every 50 years, you get the new legacy class that puts something in.
We could talk about these projects, these memorials all over campus. So one of my favorites is the Air Gardens. That a couple of classes did that several years ago. If you have not been back on the terrazzo to see that, that is spectacular with the fountains back in place, trees. There's memorabilia to remind cadets of their heritage while they're here. Pieces of the World Trade Center are out there. So there's a lot going on, and you have your hands full, my friend.
I do.
Across all of these projects, there's a common theme: preserving stories, honoring services, and strengthening connections to the Academy. What would you want graduates listening today to understand about the impact their support can have?
I think they just need to get out here and see all these projects.
Yep.
To
Could
really
not
be
agree more.
inspired, because you truly do get inspired by some of these projects. And I think just leaving the legacy behind, to again inspire that next generation.
I agree. Well said. And I really want to thank you for all you do. You're a big help to us in this organization, making sure we get from point A to the finish line. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Vince.
To learn more about the projects supported through the association and foundation and how philanthropy continues to strengthen the Long Blue Line, visit usafa.org.
Well, coming up next, Vince and I will tell you how staying connected with Gradcast and your Long Blue Line is possible.
From freshman year to graduation day, every squadron's legacy lives on through stories, traditions, friendships formed, and memories made. And together, all 40 squadrons form one long blue line. Coming soon, Doolittle Outfitters proudly introduces our new 40 Squadrons One Family Collection, featuring squadron-inspired apparel, home decor, drinkware, stickers, pillows, keepsakes, and more, all designed to celebrate the bond shared across the cadet wing. Whether you're flying your own squadron colors or honoring the Academy family as a whole, this new collection is a meaningful way to bring a little squadron spirit home. The 40 Squadrons One Family Collection, coming soon. Visit Doolittle Outfitters at the Academy or browse the collection online at shop.usafa.org. That's shop.usafa.org. 40 Squadrons, one family, one long blue line.
Now, Vince, how about we get to what's going on in our Long Blue Leadership podcast and how people can stay connected.
I love that.
Okay. Well, I most recently interviewed Coach Clifford, class of 97, Mark Clifford, the USAFA boxing coach who took the women in a two-peat 2 years in a row to the national champions. And that conversation with him was really, I think what I really enjoyed about it is that he is all about finding diamonds in the rough and helping them realize their capability beyond their wildest dreams.
Well, Navir, and I've had a chance to talk to Coach Clifford quite a bit. He is truly a remarkable individual. And I know how much he cares about the boxing program, but I truly believe he cares on all 4,000 cadets because
100%.
he is so involved with the boxing classes that take place up on the hill. Please tune in to listen to that because it's really good.
Yes, and if you didn't know, all of our cadets, men and women cadets, all go through boxing. It is a core class that they take now, so that is a reason and an opportunity for them to kind of discover their warfighter capabilities. Additionally, just released, we had Dr. Janelle McCauley, class of 98, on with me, and her journey is incredible. Pilot, combat veteran, a leadership strategist. She has worked with elite athletes in the professional side of the house as well with our military special operations around mindfulness and mental performance. And so don't think that's a soft skill at all. In fact, she'll talk about how being mindful helps you create a combat-minded edge to yourself.
Really?
It's certainly something that people are going to want to check out.
I have not listened to that yet, but you can bet it's going to be number one on the playlist.
All right. And there's actually some tips, literally some tips that you can take away after that on how you can do something to be a better leader every day.
Well,
So,
I like
there
that.
you go.
All right. And we've already talked a little bit about June checkpoints. Look for it, read it, and pay attention to
That's right.
the cover.
You know what? Let Vince know via vince.greco@usafa.org
Yes, I wanna
what
know.
you thought about it. And speaking of ways to stay connected, let's just talk about that right now. We have many ways that you can get in touch with us, but the easiest to know what's happening at your Air Force Academy is through our flagship website, usafa.org. You can find everything there. We've made such incredible, just improvements to that website.
Yes.
And you can search and you're going to find what you need to. But if you want to get more into more of the specifics, you can find us for Gradcast at usafa.org/Air Force Gradcast. All the events that Vince and I talked about, go to the website, usafa.org/events. And of course, for all episodes of Long Blue Leadership, you can head to usafa.org/Long Blue Leadership. We have so many things. One of the things I wanted to highlight, though, Vince, is our newest page on the website. It's around the NextGen community. And
I
so
love that.
To get those webinars, to find out when things are happening in your area, you can go to usafa.org/NextGen. We try to make it easy, right?
Yes, that's the name of the game. Easy. Right. And also, finally, USAFA Parents and Family app. That's available on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Yes, and that's certainly something that our parents and our families want to be aware of because, you want to know what's going on with your cadet's life, and sometimes we will tell the story before the cadets will. And I'm saying that, and you know this, Vince, as a parent of.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, guess what? That segment and this entire Gradcast just flew by.
It did.
That's it for this edition of Air Force Gradcast.
That's right. If you know someone who should reconnect with their Long Blue Line family, send them this podcast. It is a perfect place to do just that. Until next time,
we'll see you on Gradcast.
This edition of the Air Force Gradcast was recorded on June 2nd, 2026.